With Thursday's Telegraph now, and Liz Truss preparing to smite her enemies. Nick, she's getting tough.
Yeah, it was quite a tough speech. It was good. The headline is, "I'll defeat the enemies of enterprise, holding Britain back." And as you say, she's coined this phrase, the anti-growth coalition, which is, some of them are in her own party, but she mainly means the opposition. And she also was able to refer to those protesters that came in, the sort of eco-protesters. She said they were part of the anti-growth coalition, and it was a sort of quite good ad-lib.
Quite a neat phrase, isn't it? Because it encapsulates Labour, Lib Dems and those rebels within the Tories.
Basically,
and
the entire
protesters.
country.
Everyone but her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, she's in a tough position following the fallout from the mini-budget, the gilt yields, the interest rates, the tax U-turn, particularly disastrous, her own party turning against the Gove up to his old tricks. But she was quite strong on Ukraine. I mean, it's a bit hawkish for me, but she said Ukraine can win, they must win, and they will win, and that got a huge applause. And I quite like the bit where she celebrated the working people as sort of the real heroes. She said it's not these people that glue themselves to stuff, I'm paraphrasing, it's the people who get up at the crack of dawn to work, the commuters, the white van drivers, the hairdressers, etc. The anti-coalition just doesn't get it. So that bit was really strong to me. It was almost something you'd expect to hear from Labour. It was a celebration of the average working person. And I also, of course, like the part she said about comprehensive schools that we'll get to, because I've got a lot on that. And another thing she said that struck me was she said, I remember getting a paycheck and seeing how much is taken out in tax. I thought it was quite a strong point, because you can imagine Liz Truss getting a normal paycheck. If Boris Johnson said that, you'd be like, you don't get paychecks, you just have vague aristocratic money or something.
Yes,
but when
donations.
Yeah, exactly.
Called, yeah.
But when Truss says it, you think, yeah, she's a fairly normal person who will have been through that. The question is, will it convince the markets, will it convince her party or the general public?
What do you think, Josh? I mean, are you impressed by the speech? I mean, given that obviously she's had a bit of a few ups and downs at the Tory conference, let's just say. She was forced to reverse the 45p top tax cuts, things like that. Hasn't been going necessarily her way.
Well, it's a bit rich, her coming out and being like, I'm for you, working people, you're my people. It's like, well, no, you've just cut the taxes, or you tried to cut the taxes. For the
but
people
she's reversed that. She's reversed
Well, she's reversed it, but the point is, don't then come out and sort of try and... For the working people, she cut taxes for the 1p. For those people, for the rich people, she cut it by, and she tried to. But
and there are these threats of cuts to welfare as well, which, of course...
Well, that's another story. But the bit I actually didn't... There's a lot of bits I didn't really like. She's trying to, like I say before, trying to sort of make everybody who's against her somehow like the enemy, in that they're trying to destroy... Enemy. Well, they're her enemy. It doesn't mean they're actually trying to destroy England or the UK, I mean. And the other thing is this stuff about reversing the Boris... I thought that was one of the good things that Boris did, this whole anti-obesity...
Yes.
thing. I think it's a really important thing. And if we want to save money, obesity is one of the biggest costs for the NHS. So
Sure.
any efforts towards that...
But Liz Truss's whole principle is that she doesn't want to be the person that tells people what to do. She wants a Conservative Party that basically puts power back in your hands, choices in your hands, a kind of libertarian approach. I mean, there's something to be said for that, isn't there?
There's something to be said for that, but at the same time, putting the... she's not saying that you can't buy... Jaffa cakes. It's just saying maybe just don't put it so readily available.
What about this, Nick, though? I mean, we're talking there about her characterising those who oppose her policies as enemies. But that might be quite simplistic. But I suppose that's what the protesters she alluded to, the ones outside the Tory conference who were shouting the Tories are evil, Tory scum, Tories are trying to kill the poor. I mean, that's quite an ungenerous interpretation as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to you just before air that they even on Twitter started tweeting Tory scum at Rachel Wearmouth, who's a deputy political editor of the New Statesman.
Oh, so it's a kind of everyone.
It's not the most thought out thing. Obviously, yeah, it was horrible what they did to Michael Fabricant. I thought all that was pretty appalling. And so why can't she be quite tough with her speech? I like the bit when she said about Labour and the SNP, have they ever seen a tax rise they don't like? And my favourite personal bit actually may have been this, where she talked about the talking heads, the Brexit deniers. She said they prefer talking on Twitter to taking tough decisions. They taxi from North London townhouses to the BBC studio. That kind of just hit all my prejudices in a perfect way.
You live in a North London townhouse.
A townhouse? I think I live in a townhouse.
You haven't been to Nick's house.
Well, he lives in a North London. You got a cab here. Where'd you get your cab here from?
I live in
North London.
I admit all the time I live amongst the enemy in North London, in a tiny shoebox that I can barely afford.
Not a townhouse.